I was only picking up on what Jean-Francois said, because
that's what I was going to say. I was going to ask
yeah.
if, would you like Bernard to read your question, or would you like to unmute? Bernard, would you tell us what JF would like to say?
Jean-Francois has merely said maybe the other dimensions are not higher or lower, but inner. In the movie Contact by Carl Sagan, Ellie discovers the code to build a space-time machine and the gate between the 3 and the 4 of the prime numbers of pi, between the rational and irrational numbers. And I like that remark, because, you know, one shouldn't get too hung up by terms like higher or lower. I mean, I was using the phrase in a precise mathematical sense, but you know, the word higher, it sounds rather pretentious and could be confusing. And I think the key point about these other dimensions is that they are inner dimensions, in the sense that they're experiential dimensions. But they can also, even particle physicists might call them inner dimensions, in the sense, you know, they distinguish between the large dimensions, which are extended, and the inner dimensions, which are very small, so you never see them. So what's interesting about the word inner is referring to experience as well as experiment. And that's why it's so fascinating. And the irony is, you know, in the Large Hadron Collider, they're trying to find these extra dimensions in the Large Hadron Collider, and they haven't discovered them. But on the face of it, if the Large Hadron Collider, because it might discover them, it just hasn't got to the right energies, if the Large Hadron Collider were to discover these extra dimensions, these whatever you want to call them, inner dimensions, what an amazing thought that these extra dimensions are something to do with mentality. And on the face of it, that's a crazy idea. You know, if I said to my friends at Geneva, Large Hadron Collider, if you discover these extra dimensions, you're discovering mind, they would say I was crazy, you know. But actually, we get this concept in movers all the time. And I know Jean-Francois can talk about this. You know, for example, in the movie Interstellar, you know, it's all, they go through a fifth dimension, and this fifth dimension is associated with mind. And so in many cases, it seems to me, the movies actually anticipate what physics is going to discover. And so that's why I found your comment so interesting, referring to the movie. And there's even a historical example of this, you know. You often mention Sagan, Jean-Francois. Well, I'm sure you know this, but the movie Contact was prompted because Carl Sagan wanted to know whether you could get to a distant galaxy by using a wormhole or using a black hole. And he asked Kip Thorne, who of course is a famous physicist, and Kip said, no, you can't use a black hole. But then he thought, but maybe you can use a wormhole as a time machine. And this prompted all the work which Kip Thorne and then other people did on wormholes as time machines in relativity. And that's an example of where a movie, Contact, prompted a development in physics, which is something which people don't always appreciate. So all these thoughts flow from your comment, Jean-Francois, but somehow I'm voicing your thoughts. But anyway, they're very interesting.